Welcome back to another episode of the Football Frauds Podcast. My name is Miles.
I'm Connor.
I'm Matt.
And we're here to talk AFC South, the most exciting division in football. The Jaguars won their last 8 games of the season. The Texans won their last 9. The Colts fell off, lost their last 7 in a dramatic change in the AFC South standings to end the season. These Jaguars caught fire with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence down the stretch. And one team was terrible the entire way. That was the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Miles. I want to throw something at you. So the Tennessee Titans are currently coached by a full plethora of bald men. Matt and me have been pro-Titans. We have been Titan stands, some might say.
Alec
Ironmanner, I'm repping the shirt right now. If you're Alec Ironmanner and you're watching this, just know I love you. I've been a fan since day one. Mm-hmm. And everyone can confirm it that knows me. Any whoosies. So, Miles, now that bald men are getting represented in the world and getting compensated financially in this world, are you now on the pro-Titans train?
I'm anti-Titans.
Oh my gosh.
Your brothers?
I think that if you don't have alopecia and you're bald, you're a massive pussy.
Just wear your hair however it should be.
You should look like Benjamin Franklin.
with the toupee or
You
whatever
should
that
have a you should have
wig.
a bald top of your head, and you should have hair around the back. And if you don't do that, then you're a fraud. Anybody who should be bald should only have alopecia. And if you have bald, you don't have alopecia. You need to figure it out because there's something wrong with your character.
Speaking of Benjamin Franklin, the Tennessee Titans traded away Tavondre Sweat for Jermaine Johnson.
Oh.
And Benjamin Franklin invented electricity, and Tavondre Sweat is electric as an interior defensive lineman.
I like that.
What do you guys think about Robert Saleh making this move?
I like it. I am pro Robert Saleh. I think that he has a vision for what he wants the team to be, and it's pretty clear that the Titans were not that. I don't think they were anyone's vision.
Yeah.
And if he's going to take this team to the promised land, he's going to have to do something, and I like that he's doing it early.
Yeah, it's like I think Tavondre Sweat in a vacuum is a better player than Jermaine Johnson with the contract and the age and everything.
No question.
But Robert Saleh has a scheme that's proven, and you want to just get the guys that you know are going to work, and you don't need a big nose tackle in his scheme.
Do we feel like the Texans trading away Sweat and committing to Jermaine Johnson kind of confirms that they're not going to go edge at 4?
If you look at their edge room, it is so terrible that they still have plenty of snaps to go around. I think it's just as big of a need, or like obviously it's less of a need, but it's still a massive need.
Feels like a Styles spot, no?
They got honestly, they're paying Cody Barton had a bad year, but they're still paying him, and they have another linebacker there that had a decent year. So they have for how much
Cedric
cap?
Gray.
Cedric Gay. Sorry,
Matt,
Cedric Gay.
no, stop.
Sorry, Cedric.
Matt, this podcast is not about that. Please stop.
I really didn't mean to do that. For how many needs and how much cap space they have, I think they're going to leave the linebacker room for now.
So Saleh has this insane track record of developing linebackers. He took Quincy Williams, who's an undrafted free agent, and turned him into an all-pro on the Jets. He's got, he didn't develop Fred Warner in the 49ers, but he's got all these linebacker prospects he's able to develop.
No.
That's the Rams.
No.
Rams.
Who was the guy that came in for...
They had rookies that played okay.
Yeah, who was
Yeah.
who were the guys? I don't know. But all I know is that they were balling, and I was like...
On the Niners, yeah.
I was like, that white guy is not Fred Warner. What the heck? Why is he doing good things out there?
So imagine what Robert Saleh could do with Sonny Styles. The most outlier electric prospect, Kyle Hamilton plus, in theory. Makes a lot of sense as a fit there. They took Cam Ward, first overall, Matt's dynasty guy. He finished 36 of 38 among quarterbacks in PFF rating, but that probably lends itself more to the situation that he was in. They bring in Brian Daboll at OC.
Yeah.
Matt feels okay about it. Daboll is considered by some minds to be a good quarterback developer. Josh Allen, after that,
Jackson Dart.
Allegedly. I guess.
That 1 year with Daniel Jones.
I guess.
He likes to run his guys. Cam Ward doesn't run a ton, so how is this all going to work out?
So it's going to work out by Cam Ward running power option with Tajay Spears and going up the middle helmet first.
I do want to just kind of pivot and do more of a roster breakdown on this team because they have so much cap space.
Do it.
How much do they have?
They have $94 million, and they have. I don't know if these moves are going to happen because of how much space they have, but they have Calvin Ridley they can save 13 on. He didn't play very well and got injured.
Yeah, he didn't. And also, he was on. We already talked about it, but that might have been one of the worst contracts ever given.
Yeah.
He was
I
terrible.
think it made sense because they had Will Levis. They needed to give him someone. And if they were going to be bad anyways, might as well give it to some receiver you could. But, yeah, it didn't work.
And then they brought in Lockett, too, and then now he's gone.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good.
Yeah. When you're a bad team, that's the kind of moves you end up making. And then L'Jarius Sneed has been terrible for them. They could save $11 million on him. Who knows what they do. Offensive line, they still have needs there. They're losing Lloyd Cushenberry and Kevin Zeitler to a center and a guard that played well for them. They have J.C. Latham and Dan Moore. They're going to stay there. And Peter Skoronski is a great guard. He's really turned out to be a great pick there. But 2 needs at offensive line. They're losing Chigakonkwo, so tight end's a need. Wide receiver, pretty big need. They have Alec Ayamanor. Probably you want a guy you can trust in your rotation as maybe a 2 or a 3, depending on who you have, but you need a 1.
Yep.
So a lot of needs on offense. Running back, are you going to keep Tony Pollard? He's 29. This roster's really not very good. Moving on to defense, they just have Jermaine Johnson and like a backup. His name is Jalen Harrell. Need to add there. They lost Devondre Sweat, so defensive tackle they need. They have Jeffrey Simmons, who's kind of an all-pro guy, but behind him, linebacker they're going to keep. Cornerback, they need 3 spots, really. They've had terrible unless L'Jarius Sneed can turn it around, they need to add cornerback. So up and down this roster, the reason they have so much cap space is because it's terrible. It'd be really interesting to see how they turn this around.
Yeah. And the other thing is, obviously there's a ton of players that just have had bad years. And I'm wondering if that was more of the scheme or the culture, and if Robert Saleh is under the mindset of that he wants to clean house, or if he wants to take a swing on some of these guys and see if they were the problem, or if he was the solution to their problems.
Yeah. He has been able to set the floor, so hopefully they can find a floor soon. But I know people had a lot of respect for Denard Wilson, who was there on defense last year. So it's not like some bum just was here, depending on who you ask. So I do think it's a lot of roster needs, especially on defense.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Feels like Dobbs or Pierce, given their cap space, could be a great fit there at wide receiver.
Love it. I think they need to do that.
Well, the thing is, Pierce doesn't fit because, I mean, it all depends on how high you are on Alec Eilmanor and on Chim DK. If you think Chim DK is good enough to be on your team long term and play a big role, you don't get Alec Pierce. And if you think that Alec Eilmanor is good enough to be on your team long term, you don't get Romeo Dobbs. Those 2 guys fit the two players that you have on your team. That
I think you could bring in Dobbs and still do Dobbs, DK, and Ayamanor.
But how much does that really improve your wide receiver room?
A lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Really?
Those guys are not. Dobbs is way better than how Ayamanor played that.
Yes, but we talked about how if they're going to get someone, they should get a 1. And Dobbs isn't a 1.
What are you talking about, dude?
How do you get a 1 out of?
How can you get a 1 if you already have a 1?
You know what? I like the way you're going.
What are you talking about?
I like the way you're going. You know what? I thought that I was like, okay, time to get off this. I like Kyle Manor is number 1 train, but you know what? Well, I'm back on it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm back on it.
Dobbs fits in really nicely as number 2.
Is number 2.
They don't need to worry about a number 1 wide receiver. They got that locked
Alec
up.
is 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
The whole room.
Exactly. Dobbs is basically a backup at this point if they bring him in for $26 a year.
Okay.
Anything else in the Titans?
They're going to spend a lot of money in about 5 days from now.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a team that I'm excited to see what happens. And every year, a lot of crap hits the fan, like in that first week. I think the Titans are going to be one of the biggest teams on it. Hopefully, they don't spend it all on like one person.
Yeah, I mean they could get a big money guy and another big money guy and a couple bottom of the barrel guys and still have money to spend.
Yeah.
That brings us to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts started off as the leader in the AFC South. They were one of the favorites in the AFC. Daniel Jones had a complete career turnaround, looked awesome on a great contract for them. Anthony Richardson and him were in a camp battle. Daniel Jones apparently barely won out, but he won out and he performed great with Shane Steichen absolutely cooking in the lab. They get a elite tight end and Tyler Warren, who's almost arguably probably a top 10 tight end this year in terms of talent already in his second year. They got a bunch of great weapons on the outside. Michael Pittman. They've got
Josh
Downs, Caleb Downs' brother, Alec Pierce, who they can re-sign.
Well, that's the big thing that happened just today or yesterday is that they did the transition tag on Daniel Jones.
Oh, right.
So it's not the full franchise tag, but it's $37 million.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones has a torn Achilles. We have seen guys really struggle to come back from that, and they're going to pay him $37 million for 1 year. That it's not an extension. So he's going to not play this year probably very much, and when he does come back, probably play bad for $37 million. Seems pretty questionable.
It seems like everything that this team has done in the past 365 days seems, I guess not 365, but from week, what was it, like 6 on?
Once they believed in themselves.
It seems very desperate. For a team that was in the driver's seat, they seem pretty desperate.
The definition of desperate. And the elephant in the room here is what I consider to be one of the worst trades in the past 10 years. 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner. One of those firsts this year ends up being 16. The Packers gave up Parsons in what I consider to be one of the best trades of the past 10 years. Probably the best trade in my mind. I think Parsons is probably worth 4 firsts. They get Parsons at an awesome discount. And the Colts, I always say the conversation went, they called up Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard called the Jets GM, said, hey, what do you think about Sauce? He said, I'll give you a first and a sixth. And he said, no way. He said, I'll give you a first and a fourth. Okay, I'll think about it.
I think you've done this on the podcast already.
I have. I just love it. First and a second. Okay, I'll think about it.
This is hypothetical, right? This is not confirmed.
This is exactly what happened. And then he called
Allegedly.
him. He called him on the day of the trade deadline, and he said, okay, fuck it. I'll give you 2 firsts. We're really good right now. We need to maximize this window.
So
and
weird.
The Jets GM had no choice but to say yes to that. Giving up 2 firsts for a corner. The Rams just did a similar thing, not quite to that extent, and getting Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
It's so just the way you watch football, you have to understand that there's guys that impact plays every down. Those are defensive ends mainly, guys who can impact the play every single down, defensive interior to some extent, and then there's corners. The Colts have struggled to acquire corner talent. They got Charvarius Ward this past year, who was solid for them on the outside.
Yeah, concussion issues, though.
They said, we're first in the AFC South. This is our year to actually win it. Mahomes and the Ravens aren't doing well.
They were the
Bills
number
aren't.
1 offense at that point. So, it kind of made sense. I just hated the capital they gave up.
Well, the thing is, I don't like the trade for the Colts at that time. I've said that multiple times. But I will say the capital given up for Sauce Gardner wasn't atrocious. What was atrocious was the Packers acquiring Micah Parsons for 2 firsts.
Yeah.
That's what was atrocious.
Totally.
And so it's like the GM wasn't insane for that deal. Sauce Gardner at the time you could have made an argument.
If it was a 1 and a 2, we all would have said makes sense.
Yeah. But it's a 1 and a 1, and then Daniel Jones died.
The Daniel Jones broken leg into torn Achilles was just like what they could have ended this year 12. They were 7-1.
Yeah.
What if they went 5-4 to end the season? So they're 12-5.
Well, yeah.
And they're giving away pick 24 instead of pick 16.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if it works out, you're giving away 2 late 21st round picks, and now you're looking at a mid first round pick. And next year, who the frick knows?
Because they're not going to have good quarterback play again.
It feels like Ballard was maxing out in order to get an extension this offseason in the hopes that the Colts would make it to the AFC Championship game. He's like, we have this awesome roster. I've acquired all this talent at receiver. I bring in Daniel Jones on great value. We bring in Sauce, and all of a sudden we're right there in the AFC playoff picture. I get an extension. I brought all this 8-year whole turnaround together. Daniel Jones breaks his leg. Daniel Jones tries to play. He's very bad. He gets hurt. He's out for the year. Everything falls apart. They lose their last 7 games. And Ballard is sitting here now with an obvious need at quarterback beyond Daniel Jones, who's 29. And I think 90% of fans would agree is not a franchise quarterback worth $50 million a year.
Not 50.
They're locked in to give him 37 this upcoming year at the transition tag. And they're stuck without 2 first-round picks to get a quarterback in the next 2 years. They've set themselves into this corner.
They got screwed. They got screwed by the injury, but they're also in a corner.
But the thing is, they got desperate, and And if you're desperate, things are bound to not work.
But think about this. Well, not the trade aspect, but when Baker Mayfield first got his like $30 million contract with the Buccaneers, what if they got 8 weeks into that, he's playing well, and then tears his Achilles? People would be like, "Oh, the Buccaneers, it's a bad contract for an average quarterback."
Great point.
Yeah, because at the time, it's actually kind of comparable to the Daniel Jones arc.
So
So
we don't know what Daniel Jones could have done. It really sucks this happened. I don't think he would have been great, but he could have been fine.
yeah,
This just feels like a shot-for-shot remake of the Giants from a few years ago, giving Daniel Jones the money after they had his success down that season.
Definitely.
I don't have any confidence in the Colts to be able to execute at this level. They are betting on a very short sample size of 8 to 9 games of being great and leveraged their entire franchise on that small sample size. I don't believe in them as a team going forward. I'd like to see if Steichen could cook up the same thing, but I don't trust Daniel Jones and their ability to form a great top 10 offense every year.
yeah. Matt, hit me with the biggest needs that they have.
Let's just go quick because we've been taking some time. I think all defensive line that have DeForest Buckner and Latu behind that, not a lot of talented guys, so they could really add either one of those spots. Zaire Franklin's really fallen off, so could add linebacker, and then besides Cam Bynum, you could use another safety. Also losing right tackle Braden Smith could fill in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we should jump on over to the Texans.
The Houston Texans, a team that is incredibly frustrating to watch offensively. Stroud comes out his rookie year. He's electric. It looks like he's a top 5 asset at quarterback. A lot of people gave him MVP votes his rookie year. They beat I think it was the Ravens or the Browns, in that great season they had defensively in round 1.
Joe Flacco Browns.
Stroud seems like he's the guy, and then kind of inexplicably, Stroud falls off a cliff. He's not the same guy we saw in the first year, and he's going into a contract extension this upcoming year with a lot of pressure. Their GM said it would be idiotic to trade him or move on, despite Stroud throwing fucking 15 picks in his first 2 playoff games and being terrible.
I mean, are you anti-Stroud? That's what it sounds like right now.
Well,
I'm painting the picture. I'm not necessarily saying that anti-Stroud.
You're painting the picture with blood and gun.
Am I wrong?
wounds.
I
Am I
like
wrong?
this picture, actually. I will say it again. C.J. Stroud is on fraud watch.
No question.
No questions
I said
asked.
this before in the podcast. I'm going to say it again. If C.J. Stroud in year 2 got Ben Johnson to be his coordinator, we'd be saying the same thing about Stroud as we were saying about Caleb now. But I just think he has had a tougher way of it, and he's just like he's one of those good, not great quarterbacks. And I still think you know how they paid Trevor Lawrence, and everyone's like, "Why would you pay Trevor?" And now it's looking good. That's what I think you should do with C.J. Stroud.
I don't even think they should have paid Trevor.
I think they just won the division.
Oh.
I'm talking hindsight.
What's
Being real with myself at that time, did not think they should pay Trevor.
What's the alternative, though? You let the first overall pick walk, and you just do nothing at quarterback?
I think they paid him too much.
It was more. I think they gave him 53. I would expect it maybe like a 45 or a 40.
But I think he knew his value, and if you didn't pay him that much, he would have walked.
Yeah, so what leverage do you have in this situation to be like, we're only going to pay you 45?
I'm not a Trevor fan. There's a reason I'm not a GM.
Liam Cohen made Baker Mayfield great, and now he made Trevor Lawrence great.
Yep.
It's the
Big
coordinator.
Liam Cohen fan here.
Yeah.
Duval.
The Texans, fascinating to me, they trade away their best offensive lineman last year, Laramie Tunsil, and then they proceed to trade away their best offensive lineman last year,
Pretty much
to the Browns. And they're sitting here with pretty much the worst offensive line in the NFL. I'd say the odds are for them to take a offensive lineman in the first round minus 5,000.
What did they get for those trades?
two and a 4 for Tunsil. And what was it? A 4th for Titus Howard.
Something like that.
4th or a 5th they just got. The main thing is they didn't want to pay Titus Howard, so they got a 4th.
And then they make this trade that kind of reminds me of the Raiders of just like guessing that they can develop their running game with a 4th and 7th round pick and give up a backup lineman. A guy who could have started for them, Juice Scruggs.
Not a starter, but a backup lineman.
At least a guy who could play for them, given how bad their offensive line is.
Yeah, but they've had those type of guys for 3 straight years, and they've been bad.
But are they going to bring in more guys that are also as bad as Juice Scruggs? Like, what can they afford to bring in right now?
Yeah, they could.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me to just be like, we got this bad offensive line. It doesn't matter. We'll just trade away our best player
They should have signed your boy Tyler Algier instead of trading for David Montgomery.
I didn't understand that at all, especially giving up. They have all these assets built up from the Tunsil trade. And last year in the draft, they went heavy on wide receiver, betting that the offensive line wasn't the problem. They took the Iowa State duo, Noel, my guy, and Jaden Higgins. So they're set at wide receiver for the foreseeable future. I love Noel. Higgins is a great X type, and they have kind of two X's with Collins and Higgins out there, set up to run block on the outside. But the offensive line is just such a liability. I would say the hope for them is that they can kind of turn this around scheme-wise and do what the Seahawks did last year in taking Zabel in the first round and bringing Kubiak, change the scheme, and make the offensive line not as much of a liability because of scheme, and then just rely on their receiver talent in order to have a good season offensively.
Their pick is a great spot for an offensive lineman. In the 20s, there's a lot of guys that are great value, could go right there. So I think they're going to keep Ariante Ursary at left tackle. Right tackle, you could take one of those Fanu, Lomu, Caden Proctor,
Ianachor,
Blake Miller, Ianachor. I think so. They're good there. They have I think their center played decent enough so that really they can take a tackle there, sign a guard. And their offensive line was bad, but it started to become more competent and more like the 20th worst in the back end of the year last year, not the 32nd worst. Hopefully it can happen again.
Their defense is the definition of disgusting. People kept talking about the Seahawks being one of the best defenses of all time. Meanwhile, if the Texans had made a Super Bowl run, or if the Browns had a good offense and made a Super Bowl run, they'd be saying the same exact thing about those defenses. It's just like present bias of being like, oh, they made the Super Bowl, the best defense ever. The Texans' defense, talent-wise, is unmatched by anybody else in the NFL. They're the only team in the NFL, say maybe the Eagles and maybe the Seahawks, that can match up man-to-man and just lock guys down without any disguise or scheme and just win over and over again.
Well, I think that Will Anderson 100% this year put himself in the conversation with Parsons and Garrett. And there's no one can tell me otherwise. I think Myles Garrett had the best year. It's sensational. But Will Anderson was by far he was a showstopper on every single freaking play.
It's funny because Anderson coming into the draft, there was talk that why trade up to 3 when they traded up to 3 with the Cardinals to get him. The Cardinals got Paris Johnson. Why trade up to 3 for a guy who doesn't have elite traits? He had good traits across the board, decent weight, and then 3 years later or 2 years later, he looks like fucking Adonis.
Yeah. He looks like he could be a Hall of Famer.
He gained 20 pounds of muscle, and he looks like the fucking ideal body. And his burst and his traits are just so underrated. And his ability to just be an elite athlete and have elite traits across the board. I think it's impressive to see what he does, despite not having elite traits coming out of the draft.
This isn't that important, but I wanted to bring up how I saw an interview, I can't remember where it was, of Will Anderson. I think it was prior to a playoff game. And he was saying that he was talking about his family and his upbringing. And he was like, yeah, every day I just got the shit beat out of me by my sisters. I have 4 sisters, and they're all older than me, and they'd beat the shit out of me every day.
Starts crying.
Exactly. But just imagining that how a lot of the whole story is oh yeah, my older brothers would always push me and make me better. But this guy's yeah, my sisters would literally beat the shit out of me.
They curb stomp me.
I love them so much though.
I think they can maybe add a D tackle somewhere in this draft. Otherwise, their defense set and forget it.
I think that the dream scenario here, if you're the Texans with Nick Caserio, you're sitting here looking at the draft. You say, if we can get a difference-making guard in the first round and use all these picks from Tunsil to add another 2 or 3 offensive linemen, sign somebody in free agency. If we figure out something scheme-wise, we know Stroud is Stroud. I think talent-wise, Stroud is on the same level as Darnold. There's no scenario where we can't ride this out to a Super Bowl run. They have the talent to do that if they can figure out their offensive line. It just all revolves around scheme and their offensive line being competent. After that, their defense, my God. They have all the pieces there need to be the Seahawks from last year.
They can win the division, make a playoff push with an average offense and an defense.
No question. Any other thoughts on the Texans?
Nope.
The division winner last year was the Jacksonville Jaguars, who finished, 13-4. What an incredible year. Liam Cohen I mean, last year, the number of Coach of the Year candidates that could have won was unbelievable.
Yeah, a lot of breakout performances.
Most of those guys would have won in any other year. The Jaguars are Liam Cohen. Cohen proves that he is a guy, like capital G guy. Comes in, turns the offense around, turns Lawrence in the second half down into a fantasy superstar in an elite offense. Brian Thomas Jr. The funny thing about the Jaguars, if you could tell me that they finished the year 13-4 going into last year, I would have said Travis Hunter was unbelievable. They traded up for him, and he was an absolute difference maker on both sides of the ball, and Brian Thomas Jr. went off.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That was not the case.
No.
Parker Washington was great for them in the slot, and they traded for Jacoby Myers, and they did it without Hunter or Thomas.
Arguably one of the best trades in season. Jacoby Myers.
Instantly, he became useful, and he also opened it up for Parker Washington. Brian Thomas could now actually go downfield like he's been done in his best spots.
I will still stand by one of the worst trades of the offseason was trading up for Travis Hunter.
Yes.
But somehow, some way, Liam Cohen.
We were all against it instantly. Didn't like it.
Dude,
I liked it.
You
You didn't like the value, did you?
I didn't like the value, but I liked the fucking nuts of it and being like, this is our guy.
That's the same thing he was saying earlier, where your money's on the other side. And you're over
Oh
here.
my gosh.
Listen, man, I'm a fluid guy, all right? I don't fucking commit to one side or the other. I don't have to do. You guys can't force me into
my
a
nuts
little...
are over here. My money's
You
over here.
can't put me in a box, man. I am who I am. Don't try and put me in a box.
But it's like the thing that I hated about it was I was like, wow, that just seems pretty crazy, and there's not much reason behind it. And then the GM and Cohen got on the interview, and we're like, yeah, there wasn't any reason behind it.
Yeah.
We just want to set the tone. We want everyone from Duval to know what we are about.
I'm
And
so
like,
hyped.
I'm like, what the hell just is
A
this?
pure vibes move.
I saw that, and I said, the Jags are going to win 0 games this year, and they are a failing franchise.
Matt's guy, Brennan Strange, I think is actually an elite talent at tight end, and I would tag him for a breakout next year in fantasy, given what they need. I really like Brennan Strange. On the defensive side of the ball, their DC did wonders on a defense that was in the bottom 10 last year.
Anthony Campanile came from the Jeff Hafley defense.
Nice. Their safety, Antonio Johnson, in 700 snaps was first in PFF grade. All of a sudden, it seems like Cohen and this defensive coaching staff just upgraded across the board. They turned Josh Hines-Allen loose on the edge and let him fly.
I'm a little Antonio Johnson. He was a 2023 fifth rounder from Texas A&M. In 2024, his PFF grade, he played a lot of snaps, was 48. In 2025, it was 87. From the third worst to the best, I don't know what he did or what Anthony Campanile did, but holy those are the moves you need to make to go 13-4.
Yeah.
Guys, you need to come out of nowhere and start playing elite. That is awesome.
Yeah. Same thing with the, what was it? Cole Van Lennon?
Yeah, Cole Van Lannon out of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's a fun story.
Dude, I'll always go to bat that, like, Wisconsin linemen don't get drafted because they're never, like, just the beefed up, just
Traitsy.
guys.
They're white.
But they are always the Hall of Famers.
No,
They're not the first round picks, but they are the Hall of Famers.
No, yeah, he was a 2021 sixth rounder. Hadn't started to get like a whole season yet. He was their starter at right tackle this year. Put up a 79 grade. Like really helped their offensive line. Those two moves itself, getting 2 elite starters out of nowhere, that's part of what they did.
Especially at tackle. That's incredible. That's innumerably valuable.
Yeah, and that's how you make up for Travis Hunter and Trayvon Walker was just fine. He was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. What else we got in the Jags?
I touched on it when we talked about the Texans, but I would just like to say that I was completely wrong. I think I literally had the Jags at 31.
Because you hate Trevor Lawrence.
I don't like Trevor Lawrence.
That's
I
fine.
Still don't like Trevor
We don't
Lawrence.
need to get back into it, but that's why you had him so low.
Let's get back into it.
No, but like also on that, it was the accumulation. I was like, this GM's incompetent. What the hell did I just watch this guy do?
True.
Liam Cohen, 2 eyes across the other sides of the room, Duval's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I was from Jacksonville right now, I might move. I might delete all my social media, change my name, move to another state, and support a different team. But I was 100% wrong. This team is for real.
So what's our feel on the AFC South going into next year? It feel like the Colts are trying to contend right now. Their GM obviously thinks they have the pieces to contend. It doesn't feel like they can replicate that offense from last year.
No.
They don't have the draft picks to supplement their defense. The Texans are sitting here with an elite defense. The Jags coming off a massive overperformance from last year with a last-place schedule. Connor, what's your lean AFC South?
Okay, if you say anything besides the Jags, you're wrong.
Oh.
Every other team here sucks. I think the Texans are going to suck next year. The Colts do not think that they are going to be able to pull it out. We already dove in on how they kind of sold the farm. Didn't work.
I was going to, retort you, say, you know what, I think it's going to be a close fight between the Jags and the Texans. Even odds at plus 165 to win the division. I think it's a two-horse race on the most part.
Look, I'm going to say something. I feel like you guys are very high on these Vegas odds. Fuck Vegas. Fuck
shit.
Vegas odds.
Oh,
I'll say it right here, right now.
I'm not saying
I don't
they're
give
right.
a shit
I'm not
about
saying
Vegas.
So
they're
the
right.
smartest people in the world that determine where money flows and are always ahead of the game.
Bro, they're not smarter than the football fraud. What are you talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
lost me for a second.
Miles, you made an incorrect statement. They're the second smartest people in the world.
Yeah. No,
They're lucky that we don't.
So you're implying that I should
don't
bet
bet.
my entire life savings on whatever I think is going to happen in the NFL next year?
No, not you.
Us. Whatever
Us.
we think I should invest my entire life savings.
If you're trying to make money.
I am not a betting man, but if you wanted to make money, yeah.
But you're implying we're smarter than them, so therefore I should, logically.
Look, I don't know what's going on in your head. I know what's going on in my head, and I know that that's bullshit.
All right, I'm going to invest my entire life savings on Jacksonville to win the AFC South.
Well, I didn't tell you to do it, but you're going to be a rich man if you do.
I would think I would think logically if you imply that, then it must be true, and therefore I should put my money into it if it is true.
All right, if you have a gambling problem, there are resources for you.
Listen to the
You
football
can
frauds
get
and
help.
follow our bets.
You can get help. And this is not financial advice, but if you want to listen to us and take our words for truth, you can, but don't come back for us because we are frauds, and we are openly admitting it.
Fraud out.
Fraud out.
Fraud out.